Okay, Parshat Vayiqra. New book, third book, Toras Kohanim. There's a story that goes around that Reb Chaim Shmulevitz. Now, Reb Chaim Shmulevitz was the Rosh Yeshiva at Mir. The Mir Yeshiva just celebrated their 200th anniversary. Now, they're located in Israel, in Yerushalayim. They haven't been in Israel for 200 years. They were in Europe, in a community called Mir. That's where the name comes from.
Mir?
Mir. And it's in Lithuania. And from there, they made it to Shanghai, to China, during the war. And from the war, they came to Israel. And they opened up the Mir Yeshiva. Today, the Mir Yeshiva has maybe 5,000 students in the yeshiva.
What the Mir translates?
What kind of what?
What the word Mir translates? How?
Well, in Yiddish, Mir could mean me, but it's just the name of a city. I'm not sure what does New York translate.
Because Mir in Russian means peace.
Peace. Maybe that's where it comes from. So he spoke at a Sheva Brachos. So what did he say? He gets up there and he says, I just want everybody to know I am one of the greatest tzaddikim of the generation. Perhaps the greatest in this generation. That's what he said. Of course, if you're listening to a Rosh Yeshiva speak and he starts that way, what's your reaction? Whoa, something's wrong. I am a Talmud Chacham and meticulous when it comes to doing mitzvos. And everybody was wondering, was he feeling all right? Was something wrong? What was going on? He began to feel uneasy. Then he continued, you can't say I don't have special abilities, and it's true I probably have some faults, but generally I'm as good as it comes. Looking at everybody's shocked face, Reb Chaim Shmulevitz says, you're surprised I talk this way, right? Everybody says, yeah, it seems strange. He says, do you know something? We all talk this way. If you go over to a person and you say to a person, so what kind of a Jew are you? What are they going to say to you? I'm a bad Jew? They're not going to say that to you. They're going to say, I'm a pretty good guy. I do mitzvos. I learn Torah. I do chesed. I'm good to my family. I have faults, but I think my good qualities outweigh my faults. By and large, I'm a pretty good person. That's what most people would say to you. So Reb Chaim Shmulevitz says, all I said to you was what most of you would have said had you been asked the question, what kind of a Jew are you? What kind of a person are you? Because we all believe that we are fairly good people. We could be better. Who couldn't be better, right? Who couldn't be better? Everybody could be better. But no one's going to come up and say, I'm a horrible person. I'm a terrible human being. He says, when you bring korbanos, that's what you're saying. If you do an aveira, and you have to bring a korban ola, or chatlas, or osham, your essence, you're saying to the Kohen, I made mistakes. I did things that were wrong. I should have known better. I didn't know better. Ignorance is no excuse. That means if you don't know the law and you make a mistake, you can't plead ignorance. You can't say I made a right turn on a red light in New York. I thought I was in Monsey. You're not in Monsey and you're not in Cedarhurst. You're in New York. The laws say you can't do it. I didn't know. You can try that line, but it won't save you. So that's what Reb Chaim Shmulevitz wanted to say. Rabbi Wein goes a step further. When it talks about a person sinning, it uses the term nefesh kisecheta. What does the word nefesh mean?
Soul.
The soul. If the soul sins, does a soul really sin?
Not really.
Not really.
Body.
Well, who sins? The body sins. Now, see, the soul...
I have a question.
Yeah.
The brain considered to soul?
So that's the question that people don't have the answer for. The brain is considered to the body. That means, let's take a robot.
But it's not really body.
Well, but let's take a robot. The power source drives the robot. But the robot functions because of the programming. What is the robot's soul? Is it the power source? Is it the programming?
Program.
You think it's the programming.
Oh,
I would say it's the power source. What powers the body? Why is one person 1 minute alive, the next minute is dead? What's missing?
Heart.
Not the heart,
so,
the soul.
yeah,
The soul powers the heart, the soul powers the body.
yes.
The soul is not the brain does not power. The brain is the programming. Okay? So it's all interlinked, but yet it's different. So Rabbi Wein says that a person has to say, brings it down from the Meiri, that when you do an Aveira, what do you affect? You affect the people around you. But if a person eats something not kosher, if a person is Machalel Shabbat, does he hurt his body or hurt his soul? It hurts his soul. That means the neshama records everything. And it's a blueprint of everything you've done. And after 120 years, it goes up to Shemaim and it reports your lifestyle. But the neshama didn't do the averos. The neshama is affected by the averos. Looks the same way the neshama is affected positively by the mitzvos. So who did the averos? The body, the brain. There's a link. The body and soul are connected. There's 5 different connectors. And it's not always so easy to figure out and understand. But when the person has to understand that everything you do affects you. Okay? I have people that I deal with all the time. And they make statements. They make a statement like, once I say something, I never change my mind. I hear this all the time from people. The truth is that something to be proud of? No. You can count on me that I'll never change my mind. Okay, that's good. But just because you say something doesn't make it that you should. We always change our minds. Things are different. People change. If a person says, I don't change, I'm the same person I am today that I was 20 years ago, well, that's pathetic. I told you that many times. I don't want to be the same person 5 years from now I am today. I want to be better. If I can, I want to be better. I want to be kinder. I want to be gentler. I want to be more understanding. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to have knowledge. So the body is constantly being imprinted by our activities. Good or bad, it affects us. It affects who we are, what we are, and how we think. And that's very significant to understand. A step further, look at this. Very interesting. We know that the first word in the Torah, in this week's Parsha, Vayiqra, is spelled with a small aleph.
Yes.
Moshe was humble. He wrote Vayiqra with a small aleph that it should be Vayikar. Vayikar is what Hashem said to Bilam, as if to say, Hashem didn't call Moshe. Moshe was in the neighborhood. Hashem says, hey, you're in the neighborhood, let's have a conversation. Moshe didn't want people to think Hashem called me special. The truth is Hashem called him special. The Yalkut Reuveni goes further. He says something really strange. He says, Aleph starts the word Isha, wife. He says, Moshe, the Aleph was written small because he distanced himself from his wife. And Hashem wanted him to know that when you distance yourself from your wife, you become a smaller person, not a greater person. Now, Moshe did this on his own. Hashem never told him to do this. Hashem agreed with him for whatever the reasons, but Hashem never told him.
And he was busy.
What? Because he had to be holy, whatever it is. The Zohar says something wild. The Zohar says that if a person brings a korban, in order to bring a korban, you have to be married. If you're single and you did an Aveira, you can't bring a korban. You have to remember the Aveira you did. When you get married, you can bring the korban. That's what the Zohar says. Then the Zohar goes further to say, the Kohen who services you also has to be married. And if the Kohen is not married, he's not allowed to do the service in the Beit HaMikdash. And Nadav and Avihu, who refused to get married because nobody was good for them, and they did it, that's why they died.
What's the reason you have to be married?
Because you should suffer like we all suffer. No, why? Because a person is, let me put it to you this way. Let's look at it from a different perspective. I've often said this. I have a person, I have a lot of people that call me, but I have a person who calls me and they can talk and say nothing for 25 minutes. You know why they can do that? Because they don't have a job.
You don't what?
They don't have a job.
Oh, yes.
So since they're not working, they have no concept of time. They have no appreciation of time. That means very often life balances us. If a person does chesed, a person has a job, a person's married, a person has a family, they understand much more how the world operates. Okay? Same, what?
More experience.
More experience. The Gemara says that a person who gambles is not kosher to be a witness, cannot sit on the bet din. Why not? Because a person who gambles has a philosophy, easy come, easy go. Who cares? Who cares someone stole your $100 from you? That's life. Easy come, easy go. They don't appreciate the $100 because they're not in the world. They don't have a job. They're not functioning in the real world. People have to learn to function in the real world. When you function in the real world, you value time, you value things very differently.
Stockbrokers too?
What?
Stockbrokers.
Very much so, even more so.
Divorce in the...
So he says over here, V'zeh chatom shel nodav ha'avihu. This was their sin. She'agrivu korbonot, he brought korbonot, v'lo hoyu nesuyim v'noshim, they weren't married. Now, let's go a step further. The Mordechai in Masechet Megillah says that if you're a Kohen and you're not married, you cannot be Ola to Duchan. You cannot do Birkat Kohanim. Okay?
Nowadays too, like this?
That's what he writes. The Ramah brings both opinions down, but the Ramah says, V'noagu, our custom is, Shenose Kapo, that he can. Are you a Kohen?
Yeah.
Do you do Birkat Kohanim?
Yeah.
Mazel tov, I didn't know you were married.
Yeah? You know, man.
Not married yet? How old are you?
18.
What are you waiting for?
Gemara say you gotta be
You gotta be ready. Okay, I'm just messing with you.
18.
The Ramah says you're allowed to. As a matter of fact, the Magen Avram says, I don't understand this whole thing. He says there was only one Kohen that had to be married,
Kohen Gadol.
Kohen Gadol. And on Yom Kippur, in case his wife would die, they always had a backup. Because he had to be Bechaper Ba'ado, he had to forgive himself,
And divide.
Ubeso, and then Bnei Israel. Very interesting. That means if he didn't have the idea of marriage, husband, wife, to be mechaper, to forgive. If a guy cannot forgive his wife, he cannot forgive Am Yisrael.
Wow.
That means if a Kohen cannot find it in his heart to forgive his wife, he's going to represent all of us, ain't going to happen. It's a shocking thing, right? Shocking thing. That they put such an emphasis on this, but there's pages. I photocopied from the Sefer Otzer Pelos HaTorah, pages upon pages that talk about this in great detail. But yes, you're allowed to do it.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
If in Minyan only one Kohen should do the Baracha for Kohen,
Sure,
because in the book says it's supposed to be more than one.
there should be, but no, even if there's one. What do you do with the whole minyan is Kohanim?
Wow.
So they all go up and one stays behind. Right?
Oh,
They have places like that where the whole minyan is Kohanim.
The Sholach.
Shocking.
What?
The Sholach.
Right. And after Birkat Kohanim, what do you say to the Kohen? Do you say Yasher Kochacha or something like that? Do you say, what?
Baruch.
Chazak Baruch.
Yeah.
Why you say that? Because you're thanking them for giving you Birkat Kohanim.
Yeah.
It's a mitzvah. When a person benches lulav and esrog, do you go over and say, hey, Chazak Baruch, you did the mitzvah?
No.
Or when you light Hanukkah menorah, Shabbos candles, do you say to your wife after she lights Hanukkah Shabbos candles, Chazak Baruch?
No.
So why do we say to the Kohen, it's a mitzvah? The answer is because it's a mitzvah for him to do Birkat Kohanim. But he didn't have to do it in my shul, he could have gone to a different shul. So I say, Chazak Baruch, that you came here to my shul, and I benefited from the bracha. That's the thank you.
So why we
It's
say,
not because you did the mitzvah, it's because you did the mitzvah in our shul. That's what we thank you for.
why we say Hazak
Oh,
Baruch to
everybody.
whoever comes to the Torah and reads the Aliyah?
Don't we?
Huh?
Don't you?
We do, yeah.
Yeah.
So the same point.
Same thing. You benefited me, you could have gone someplace else and gotten the aliyah someplace else.
How he benefits me.
He made a bracha, you said amen.
Anybody could.
Gadol ha'onem.
Anybody could, but you say thank you because you did. Because you benefited me. And after the rabbi gives a drasha, what do you say to him? I hope so.
Hazak Baruch.
I hope so. I hope so.
Some people say before.
Some people go to sleep, right?
Yeah, oh. Most
Some people walk out, some people talk during the speech. I know those days. Okay. We do shechita with a special knife. I should have brought in the knife. I have a shechita knife. I would have showed you what it looks like and everything. Maybe one week I'll bring it in. Do you have to take the knife to mikvah before you use it? Normally we take silverware to the
Yeah.
mikvah. The shechita knife, is there a mitzvah to do tefillah on the shechita knife? It's a machloket like everything else.
You need to wash before, no?
Well, listen, you wash the knife, make sure it's clean yourself, but the knife, the reason why you don't take the knife of shechita to the mikvah is because you don't use it to cut meat. You know, it's not a utensil in your kitchen. It's a very delicate knife.
Yeah.
You know, it has to be extremely sharp. The blade, if it gets a nick, it's no good. So the sakin shel shechita is not part of kalei su'udah. It's not something you have for the meal. So therefore, some people say you don't need to take it to mikvah. The Ramah says you take it to the mikvah without a bracha. So I found that to be very, very interesting. Okay, next. On every korban that was brought in the Beit HaMikdash, what was sprinkled on it? What was sprinkled on every korban?
Oh, on the
On the korban. That means they did the shechita, they
Salt.
collected
Salt.
salt. Al kol korbanecha tasim melech. Every korban had
Yeah,
salt on it.
yeah.
Okay.
Because it's drain the water out.
Help to drain the blood and
yeah.
everything else, a lot of different reasons. We today, because we don't have korbanot today,
Yeah.
but our mizbeach today is our
Table.
table, and our korban on the table is what?
What?
Food,
Meat.
not the meat, the lechem, the challah, the bread.
Yeah.
Therefore, we have the minhag on our tables to have salt.
Yeah, the woman.
And when we do hamotzi, we dip the challah in the salt.
The woman's supposed to put the salt in the table.
Correct. Most people don't know that. How do you know that?
But the Lot, the wife,
How did you know that?
she was better.
So it's brought down, I was going to tell you that. It says over here, the Sefer Kaf HaChaim. Who wrote the Kaf HaChaim? Yeah, was that the Chidah that wrote the Kaf HaChaim? He brings down from a Sefer called Chesed LaAvraham. Mitzvah zu, the mitzvah of putting salt on the table, mutelis al hanoshim. It's for the wife to do.
Yes.
L'hochim melech b'shulchan. Why? Because who was stingy with the salt was Lot's wife.
Right, yeah.
And she became an Netziv melech, a pillar of salt.
She turned her face.
Because she didn't want to give salt.
Yeah.
So therefore, the mitzvah of putting salt on the table is the wife. Now, it's interesting. You take the word lechem, you mix up the letters, it spells
Salt.
melech, salt. So lechem and salt are the same letters, the same osios.
Connection.
Okay? The Ramah says that if you put salt on the table, it protects you from danger, from puroniot. It's supposed to be a big bracha. The Chassam Sofer did not use salt on Friday night.
Why?
Because he said most nights they would burn korbanot throughout the night.
Yeah.
Except Friday night they didn't. It was Shabbat. So they brought korbanot in the morning, but not Friday night. So he had no salt on his
But
table
the
Friday night.
Saturday morning they bring korban.
Yes, Saturday morning he had, but not Friday night.
It's only for Sudat Mitzvah or
It's for anything,
any Sudat?
any Suda.
You eat by yourself?
Even if you eat by yourself. Let's say my wife makes rolls during the middle of the week, and I eat those rolls on dinner, I usually have salt on the table. First of all, I like the way it tastes. But besides that, okay? Now, let's say you don't have any salt. What can you use instead of salt?
Any salad salt?
No.
You have no salt.
Any salad.
Any,
So it says here, what is the first choice if you don't have salt? Sugar, he says. Sukkar. He says that you're allowed to use sugar on the korbanot also, and once a year, many people do use sugar on Rosh Hashanah.
any most, any solid, anything, any salt and solid.
Any salt is good. He brings down that on Rosh Hashanah,
Yeah.
people used to put sugar on the table. So we use honey,
Honey, yeah, we do.
but a lot of people use sugar and dip the challah in the sugar.
Yeah, we do the same thing.
What about the
But
apple?
the apple.
In these,
Honey.
next, you're sitting at the Pesach Seder. In a week from now, it's going to be the Seder night.
Yes.
You're sitting at the Seder. You're going to eat the matzah. Before you eat the matzah, do you dip the matzah in salt?
Yes.
I have a yes over here. Anybody else want to weigh in? This is the Seder. It's poor man's bread, lechem oni. The matzah that we ate when we left Mitzrayim. Do you dip the matzah in salt?
But you dip.
Do you dip it?
Yeah.
That means you take the matzahs, there's 3 matzahs, you make the bracha, hamotzi lechem menorah, and you make the bracha al chilas
No, we
matzah.
don't.
Then you're supposed to eat like a kazayit, and you're supposed to be leaning to the
The
left,
left side.
right? So you start eating. Before you start eating that matzah, do you dip it in salt? Do you make the sandwich, matzah with the moror?
No, we
Do you
don't.
dip that into the charoses?
Charoses.
Do you dip it into the salt?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
You change your mind now.
No, I said when you say
Matzah-
hummus even. When
So,
hummus, when you
For
wash it.
hamotzi matzah, you dip it in the salt.
Yeah.
What do? Dip it in the salt. Okay. So, the Mechaber, Rabbi Yosef Cairo, he says in Hilchos Pesach, V'yivorech hamotzi, then you make the bracha v'al achilas matzah,
Yes.
v'yatpeleim b'melech, dip it in the salt. The Ramah writes, but that's not our custom, and we don't do it. So we Ashkenazim do not dip the matzah
Salt.
in the salt.
We do.
What are you dipping?
anyway,
Nothing.
That's eating,
What?
It's not stay on the matzah anyway.
It doesn't stay on the matzah, but there's another reason. We believe that the matzah, we need to taste the matzah,
Not the salt.
nothing else, but the matzah. We don't put butter on it, we don't nothing. At the Seder, you're supposed to, matzah zu she'anu ochlim, we eat the matzah as a mitzvah. It's one of the mitzvahs from the Torah to eat matzah. So you gotta taste the matzah. We also believe that matzah was a poor man's bread. Poor men don't even have salt to put on their bread. And the matzah, good evening, the matzah,
yes.
that we eat, it's supposed to be, we're supposed to think about the Jews in Egypt. You think the Jews in Egypt had even salt to put on their matzah? They barely had anything to put on their matzah.
No,
Right.
They was rushing to leave.
That's right, they were rushing, at that time they were rushing to leave.
So what are we supposed to do now?
No.
Yeah, what's the...
If you're a Sephardi, you follow the Mechaber, the
salt.
Maran.
Yeah.
The Maran,
Aruch.
right, says you dip it in the salt. We don't. Just you should know that Ashkenazim, bichlal, almost never dip the matzah. Even when we eat it during the day, even on Shabbat, we're supposed to, some do, most don't.
But you
They
have
just
salt
eat
on
the
the table.
matzah. We have salt on the table.
And true.
We do a lot of salt at the Seder. For example, the salt water. We dip the karpas in salt water. What do you use for karpas? You use celery?
Salad.
We use
No, we use
potatoes.
celery
Potato.
here, but in our country we use the watercress.
You use watercress. We use potatoes.
Because
Potato?
you don't.
Why?
Because you don't have no karpas in there.
That's right. My father grew up in Poland.
Yeah, they don't
They
have
had potatoes. That's all they had. They didn't have anything else.
Karpas. Yeah.
So that's what they had. So that's what we,
Minhag.
right.
That's
Minhag, which is interesting.
Yes.
Minhag.
But now you have
No.
Now we have it, but
No, that.
it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing. I was speaking to Rabbi Faskowitz. He's going to be speaking over Pesach. He was saying how there are a lot of things we do that minhag that is stronger than din.
Yes.
That sometimes, because the minhag identifies us.
Yeah.
My minhagim connect me to my father, my grandfather, my grandfather, and to my community. It's not the halacha that does that.
Yeah.
It's the minhag that does that.
They're stronger than Allah.
Yeah, in some ways, the minhag is, now, of course, if someone says, my minhag is to eat treif, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, that's not his minhag, that's not a minhag. But and we happen to like the taste of potatoes in salt water, so my wife makes extra, and during the meal, she puts out a whole plate of potatoes, and we're dipping it into the salt water.
Rabbi said the Syrian and Moroccan, they eat the hummus.
Right.
They eat the hummus in Pesach. We don't eat the hummus.
We don't eat it, because of the minhag is not to, we don't,
Yeah,
because
they
of
eat the hummus.
kidneys.
So Tisha B'Av we're allowed to eat meat?
On Tisha B'Av?
Yeah.
No, why would you?
Minhag Avelut Bukharian, we eat meat.
On Tisha B'Av, you don't fast like the rest of us.
No. I mean,
Chicken.
not Tisha B'Av.
Shavuot.
The week that
Shavuot.
Tisha
9
B'Av does
days.
not fall in.
The 9 days.
Right, you eat meat, we don't.
But we
We don't
don't eat.
We're not eating meat.
No, we don't eat meat.
We don't eat
We
meat.
eat
You eat chicken. We don't eat chicken
Not
either.
even
No,
the
not even
chicken.
chicken.
Not even
We
the
don't eat
chicken.
meat at
No,
all.
it's a message.
So during the 9 days, we don't eat.
Yeah.
But you have a minhag that if it's not the week of Tisha B'Av, there are things you do, we won't do it. We don't do it all 9 days. We follow the Ramah versus the Shulchan Aruch.
Because our Minhag Avelut, we're allowed to eat meat. And Tisha B'Av, we don't eat.
One, the first day we don't eat, we do the milchik.
Right.
The next 8 days, I mean, the rest of 8 days, we do the chicken.
We don't.
And
We have 9 days of pizza or lasagna or
Sushi.
pasta or sushi, if you like sushi. I'm not a sushi guy.
If we break minhag, this is going to be punished.
It's not an avera to break the minhag, but you should just understand that a minhag is a very powerful thing. The minhag is a very powerful thing.
Minhag is halacha.
I say in some places,
Stronger than Allah.
some people say minhag is even stronger than halacha. It has to be understood when it says it. But we do not, you should know, we do not eat, we do not dip the salt. Now, we have a hard-boiled egg.
Yeah.
After the hamotzi,
Yeah.
then comes the mor,
Yeah, more.
okay?
How you make potato? Fried or boiled?
Boiled. Nothing at the Seder is fried.
Everything boiled.
The only thing fried at the Seder is on the Seder plate, the
The
chicken
bone.
wing, the
Bone.
bone. And we use a chicken wing
Yeah.
because a chicken could never be brought into Beit
It's burned.
HaMikdash.
No.
What?
It's burned, not fried.
It's a bird, but we fry it.
Cook it. Yeah, good. Fry it.
We fry it.
Fried in
And what
oil?
about
I don't know about oil.
the turkey wings? It's gonna be okay too?
Yes, because a turkey is a kosher bird that was not used in the Beit HaMikdash. We don't want to use meat, because someone might think, oh, that's the Korban Pesach.
Yeah.
So we use something that was never brought in the Beit HaMikdash. A bird.
They burn it with the fire, but they
Yeah.
don't fry it.
Well, we burn it with a fire, that's what we do.
Rabbi, why there is no one halacha for everyone?
There is.
But everybody say, oh, my parents, my grandparents used to.
So the answer is as
Give
follows.
the people they're wrong, you know?
It's not about right or wrong. The Torah is a living Torah. And the Torah, Jews were sent into Galut in many different countries.
Yeah.
And different Chachamim and different Rabbanim made decisions based on that climate and that environment. Okay?
But the climate is now the same for most people, so
Correct, but that's where the customs identify us and they don't change. There's a city in Poland called Kovna. Kovna. And I've been to Kovna. The rabbi that was the chief rabbi of Kovna years ago was Rabbi Yitzchak Elchanan Spector. YU called their Judaic department Yeshiva Rabbeinu Yitzchak Elchanan. That's after Rabbi Yitzchak Elchanan Spector, the Kovna Rav. He was a tremendous giant. He was a gadol. In his community, people were so poor that all they had was beans. So he paskined, he made a decision. On Pesach, you're allowed to eat beans.
Yeah, that's
Now, we don't eat beans. It's
The-
kitnios.
the
But he allowed it.
Moroccan, they eat the beans, the
Okay.
Syrian.
He allowed
the
it.
beans.
And his community ate beans.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they were starving, they had nothing else.
He
Bobby,
allowed,
Bobby.
he don't sin. If I eat and I'm not allowed, I'm sin.
That's right.
Why?
Your neshama gets
What a
toasted.
difference.
The difference is,
What a difference.
because he didn't paskin for you. If you go to your rabbi and your rabbi issues you a psak, a decision, you can follow your rabbi. Now, is that confusing? It could be.
Some people eat hummus.
So, if there, but you have
We
to
sit
get
at the
a,
same table. What happened?
well,
Is it allowed?
don't eat it.
Don't eat it.
Don't eat it.
Why?
They sent me the video,
I
like,
understand.
it's not
Well,
gonna
how
just
do I
like
say
make a
it?
fun of like Jewish
Pare,
people
gente,
in the
fac
middle
gente,
age
nu žinau,
about
Ashkenaz.
kissing his dudes.
Она должна кушать как парень такой.
Everybody comes kissing one guy. They say,
Она не может
Correct.
не может
This
быть
is-
вкусно, она не
what
будет
you do?
кушать.
Ну, будет кушать.
Не
"What-
будет
what
кушать.
happened?"
Почему? Аллах
Kiss
говорит.
his dudes.
А говорит, что
What
девчонка
happened?
не может, то есть как она будет
Rabbi
кушать?
says
И
no.
never
When?
eat.
Since last Shabbos.
I understand.
Делай это.
With the last rabbi. Then he kissed.
The power of different minhagim of different parts of the world, and the chachamim who ran it. Now, you understand, the people who established many of these customs were not your average person. They were the giants,
Yeah,
the
a lot
Gedolei
of
Yisrael. The
millions,
Ramah
millions.
was a posek of his generation. But Moshe Feinstein was not just your local pulpit rabbi. He was recognized the world over.
But this is the problem. Now you say they follow the rabbi, but today people say, "Oh, my dad used to do like that."
Okay.
They're based on their parents.
I understand, and
what
that's
happened
not
if Their
enough.
parents wrong.
That's right, that's why you don't do that. There's always a debate. For example, last night I gave a shiur, and I had a dentist in the shiur. So the dentist asked me, do I brush my teeth on Pesach? During this,
8 days?
well, the question was, do you brush your teeth on, let's say Pesach is 2 days Yom Tov, on Chag. Well, let's say you have Rosh Hashanah, comes out Thursday, Friday, and then Shabbos. So Ashkenazim don't brush their teeth. Because when Moshe Feinstein paskined, you cannot brush your teeth with toothpaste and a toothbrush. You can use a dry toothbrush to try to clean your teeth, but it can't be wet, and you cannot use
No paste?
no paste.
3 days.
But Rabbi Yosef says you're allowed to brush your teeth.
Yeah.
That's where Sephardim, one of the many differences between Sephardim and Ashkenazim. So this dentist said to me, what? You're going to go 2 days or 3 days without brushing your teeth? I said, yeah. He says, I don't understand that. I said, why not? It's good for business. It's good for, he's a dentist. You should be very happy. You should wish everybody was Ashkenazim. I said, it's good for your
How
business.
come even in Borough Park they sell the special tooth?
They sell, but Moshe
Toothpaste.
said you could use a special toothbrush, and then they try to get around the paste by making it like a liquid toothbrush, because this
Yeah.
liquid is different. They try to get around these things,
What
just like
about the mouthwash?
we use mouthwash.
No?
Yes.
So why you cannot do the wet tooth?
Because he says it's spreading, it's one of the malachot of Shabbos and Yom Tov you're not allowed to do.
But
That's his
this is
opinion.
why our God split.
Who split?
This is split.
Why?
We got one Torah.
You're right, and
All was the same.
and we cannot appreciate the differences and yet realize that we're all Jews. If I wear a black yarmulke and you wear a knitted yarmulke, does that make a difference? And my yarmulke is 4 inches wide, your yarmulke is only 3 inches wide, does that make a difference? And the tefillin and mezuzot are written by either Beis Yosef or Ari, or the Sephardi writing is a little bit different. There are a lot of differences. There are a lot of differences, but these differences don't define us. Don't change the fact that we come from a Am Yisrael. Elu ve'elu divrei Elokim Chaim. The Gemara says very often when there's this dispute, both are opinions that emanated from Har Sinai, was given by Moshe at Har Sinai. Elu ve'elu. So it gets confusing, but it's not confusing if you are consistent with following a halachic authority. And that's why it says, Aseh l'charav. The first thing you have to do is have a rabbi.
Yes.
The next thing you have to do is knei l'chol chaver, have good friends. Because your friends influence you more than the rabbi does in most cases. Okay. The next thing is something that I want you to think about. Listen carefully. When it talks about doing averot, this week it says, if a person sins, if a person does this, if a person does that. It talks about if, meaning it's not guaranteed. There's one exception. Asher Nasi Yechata. The Nasi was the king, the leader. The Torah says, when the leader sins, this is what he should do. It doesn't say if he will sin. It says it as a fact. He will sin. So much so that the Gemara in Horia says, Asher comes from the word Ashrei, happy. Omer Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Ashrei Hador, the generation should be thrilled, should be happy. Shehanasi Shalom Mevi Korban Asher Kagoso, when the head of the generation makes a mistake and brings a korban. So when the king makes a mistake and brings a korban, everybody was jubilant. They were happy to see that. Because if the king makes a mistake, and the king is big enough to say, I made an Aveira, then it'll make us all be willing to admit that we did Aveiras. We don't have to be better than the king. That's what the Pasuk says. So now, the Gemara brings down that 4 people never sinned their entire life. The Gemara says 4 people died only because that's the world, the way the world functions. People die because of what happened by Adam and Chava. Who were the 4 people who never sinned?
Binyamin.
No, Binyamin ben Yaakov. Binyamin ben Yaakov. The next one is Amram, Moshe's father. Who's the 3rd one?
Yosef.
No. Yishai. Who is Yishai? David's father. And the 4th one is the hardest one. Kilav. Kilav was one of David HaMelech's children, who was a big tzaddik and who died, but he did no Aveirot. 4 people.
This is impossible. How do during the they live long life?
So let's see what's possible, what's not. Okay. So now, yes.
That means all our forefathers had sinned?
Right. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov made mistakes.
Do we know what their mistakes were?
Sure, by Yaakov it talks about many times when he married 2 sisters, it talks about different things. Yitzchak it talks about things that he did.
What considered to sin? What is?
Well, that's Moshe hit the rock, we're supposed to talk to it. There were a lot of different things that you could point out. But let's examine this for a moment. Let's say you had 2 people in front of you. You had Binyamin with his father Yaakov. Who is the greater Jew? Binyamin, who didn't sin, or Yaakov? Yaakov. Yaakov was one of the Avos. His image is on the Kisei HaKavod.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's get this straight. Yaakov and his son Binyamin are at the table. Binyamin says, I'm the bigger Jew because I never sinned. But the verdict is Yaakov. Let's get the next group. The next group comes in. Moshe Rabbeinu is here. His dad Amram is here. Amram says, I never made an Aveira in my life. Moshe says, I made mistakes. Who's the bigger Jew? Moshe. No question about that. Let's try the next group. Next group comes in. Yishai over here, David HaMelech over here. Who's the greater guy? David HaMelech. You don't invite Yishai to your house on Sukkot, you invite David HaMelech. Yishai didn't write Sefer Tehillim. David HaMelech wrote Sefer Tehillim. And if you have David and his son Kilov, you would say, no contest. Who's Kilov? Never heard of him before. So what's interesting is that we don't judge the person by how many sins they do. We judge a person by a greatness. So if you want to lock yourself up in a room and never talk to anyone, that's great. You'll never speak Lashon Hara. And if you never go out of the room, chances are you'll never do any Avedot. And no one will even know you existed, and you'll accomplish nothing. The person who trips and falls because he wants to change the world and realizes the mistakes and tries to become better because of it, he's the guy that's great. So the guy who goes out there and takes the chance and could fail, but is willing to try, he's the tzaddik. The guy who stays home and does nothing to help the world better doesn't make a difference. It's an interesting idea. Now I'm going to take this a step further. It says in the Torah, Ushmartem es hamatzos. Watch the matzos. It's a mitzvah in the Torah to watch the matzos. Because of that mitzvah, when we buy matzah that's been watched. From the harvesting, from the grinding. What's the name we give those matzos? Shmura matzos. And because it's been watched, it costs you $25 a pound or whatever it is, which is wild. Okay.
More than $30.
Even $30. But people get jobs by making the matzah, so everybody's happy. Now, why do we watch the matzahs? What are we afraid of that we're going to watch the matzahs?
Because in the summer, homemade.
Because we don't want the matzahs to become chametz.
Yeah.
Got it, okay?
It's in,
Of the 8 days of Pesach, when must you have the shmur matzah?
2 days.
The first 2 days.
Yeah.
Not all 8 days, the first 2 days. So let me ask you a question. If the purpose of watching the matzah is that it shouldn't be chametz, you're telling me in the last 6 days you can have chametz?
No.
So how come you're not watching the matzahs? That means, I asked you, why are you watching the matzah? So it shouldn't be chametz. I asked you, how many days are you going to eat those watched matzahs? You said only for 2 days. So when you eat matzah the last 6 days, which are not watched matzahs, what are you doing? You're gambling chametz on Pesach? Really? Is that what you're gambling?
We have to use.
No, because
for 8
in
days.
Jerusalem it's 2 days.
Well, I'm just asking you.
Shalom.
Some people eat every day.
Here.
Some people eat shmur matzah all 8 days.
Yeah.
I got you. So, that's something we do, and that's because, my in-laws buy the matzah, so it's easy to be from on that. When my in-laws buy the matzahs, I can eat matzahs all 8 days, shmur matzah. But,
Korban Pesach was 1 day.
I got you. I hear you. But if you're telling me we watched the matzah, so it shouldn't be chametz, and you're only going to use the watch matzahs for 1 day, it means for the next 7 or 8 days or 6 days, you're gambling with chametz. It raises a question. Let's try something else. Let's go on a different tact. Are you allowed to wear shatnez?
What?
No. Linen and wool together. Shatnez.
No, you cannot.
Kilayim. No. Let's say the shroud that you dress the dead body in is found out to be linen and wool together.
Yeah.
Can you dress the dead body in that?
No.
You say no. What do you say?
You're
The
allowed.
answer is yes. The Gemara says yes.
Why?
He's dead.
He's dead. He doesn't have to do mitzvahs
No
anymore.
mitzvah.
No mitzvah. Okay? Yet, if I go to the cemetery to visit and my tzitzis are hanging out, what am I supposed to do with the tzitzis?
Hide it.
So they shouldn't be jealous.
I should put it in. Why? Because
They
they're
shouldn't be jealous.
jealous. They're dead.
How?
Jealous of what?
That
That I'm doing a mitzvah, they can't? They can't do it anyway. They're dead. He's wearing shatnez and he's jealous of me wearing my tzitzis.
Who is jealous?
Does it make sense? Do you understand what you just said?
Dead people.
I just want to make sure you understand my question.
Yeah.
You understand my question now?
This you cannot do.
He's dressed in shatnez, this dead guy, and that's okay.
Allowed,
But
yeah.
my tzitzis bothers him.
What's the answer?
What's the answer?
And he's eating chametz for the last 6 days because he doesn't want to spend money on shmur matzah. Okay? Next. Tefillin. You buy a beautiful pair of tefillin for the bar mitzvah. How often are you supposed to check the tefillin?
Twice in 7 years.
Some people say twice in 7 years, every 7 years. Some people say you don't check it at all unless they were left in a hot car, they got wet, and you're worried. Okay? So the tefillin, though, we check. Once in a while, we check the tefillin. I do shechita on an animal. There's 48 possible treifot. How many, according to halacha, do I check?
5.
0.
What check what?
We check the lungs, but that's it.
Yeah, no.
We don't check the other 48, unless we see something that catches our eye.
Oh, you check the knife. It's already.
We check the knife. Once we do the shechita, that's it. The animal goes,
After the shechita, you have to
we don't check nothing.
You have to check after the shechita.
No, we check the knife. We don't check the animal.
The animal, yeah.
Maybe the animal is
Why?
strafe.
Why?
The tefillin, we're checking twice in 7 years. But the animal, we're not checking at all. There's 48 possible things. So let me explain to you what Rabbi Vayiqra.
It's enough to check
We
only the
allowed to
lungs.
check or we don't?
We check the lungs because the lungs
And
are
it's
common.
enough.
That's enough.
But they said
it's
you have
kosher.
to, you have
And
to
it's
check-
kosher.
but you have to check.
And it's glad. And it's Bet Joseph. And you eat it.
But you have to check. Rabbi, you have to check how you cut the.
You don't have to. There's someone, if you're a shochet, you know how you cut. So
Yeah, you know where you put the.
You know where you put the knife.
Yeah. On the
So
knife.
Rabbi Victor Miller explained it as follows.
After you cut the animal, you
Yes.
have to check the lungs and you have to check the knife.
We check the lungs because lungs often have holes in it.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So that's the difference between glot and not glot.
Suffice to
But
check
we don't
stomach.
check the gallbladder, we don't check the kidneys if they're the right colors. We don't, there's 48 trephos, 48 treif spots, we don't check any of them.
So if I kill today animal, I blow up the,
You will take out the lungs, blow it up. By that time you're doing that, the animal's already down the conveyor belt, being chopped up into 1,000 different things.
it's enough.
Right.
By whom? Ashkenazim and Sfaradim?
Yeah.
Yeah?
We
And
check
you
stomach
have
too.
that meat in your refrigerator right now.
No, Sephardic check
Maybe when you
stomach.
go home tonight, you're gonna be a
Rabbi.
vegetarian, I don't know.
Rabbi, they check stomach too.
What?
The Sephardic check stomach too. Lung and stomach.
Stomach, maybe they check. Okay. Rabbi Victor Miller said as follows,
Problema.
and I want you to understand this. It's already, how are we doing time-wise? We have another few minutes? Yeah, we have another 4 minutes. Boy, what we can accomplish in 4 minutes is the world. Listen to what Rabbi Victor Miller said. Very important to understand this. He says most people are so focused not to do an Aveira.
Yeah.
He says that's the wrong focus. You know what our focus should be? To do mitzvahs.
To do what?
Mitzvahs.
Mitzvah.
I'll give you an example. You do an Aveira. Does the world come to an end? No. What can you always do if you did an Aveira?
Mitzvah.
Teshuvah.
Shua, yeah.
Okay? So if I do an Aveira and I do Teshuvah, I can erase the Aveira.
Somewhat.
But if I have to put tefillin on in the morning, and I don't put tefillin on in the morning, and the next day I wake up and say, I didn't put on tefillin yesterday. Hashem, I'm sorry. Hashem says, I forgive you. Did I get the reward for putting on tefillin?
No.
So if you don't do the mitzvah, you lose. All the crying and all the tshuva,
It's not gonna help.
not going to help you. Okay? The first 2 days of Pesach, why do we eat shmura matzah? Because it shouldn't be chametz? And let's say it's chametz. What's the worst thing that could happen? I ate chametz, I'll do tshuva. But what won't I get on the first 2 days of Pesach?
Mitzvah.
The mitzvah of doing what? Eating matzah, which is on the 2 days. That's why we eat shmura matzah.
So it's only 2
Wow.
days mitzvah,
That's right.
not 7 days.
Not 7 days. 7 days we eat matzah, not bread. But we don't make on the 6th day and the 5th day and the 4th day a bracha, asher kidishana b'mitzvosa v'tzivonu al achilas matzah.
Yeah, we say motzi.
What about
We just make hamotzi.
Yeah,
What about the last day?
We don't say al achilas matzah.
no, we say.
So the first 2 days, our problem is not chametz. Our problem is if we don't have matzah, we don't do the mitzvah. We don't do matzah, we don't do korach, we don't do afikoman, we fail. If we fail, can I make it up? No. That's why people eat shmur matzah the first 2 days and not the rest of the days.
So rest of days you can
But
do
the
it,
Torah says-
not even home.
The Torah says we eat matzah,
No,
but it's
it
not
said on
a
the 7
mitzvah.
days too.
Yes,
So how
but
come
it's
it's
not a mitzvah. It's not one of the mitzvahs.
But-
Go look at the
but it's-
Minchas Chinuch
but
that
it's-
goes through the mitzvahs
But
and they'll
it's
explain to you.
supposed to be not chametz. Even
It's
the-
supposed to be not chametz. You're not allowed to eat chametz. The difference is if you eat chametz, you have an aveira. What can you do with that aveira? Can you erase it?
Yes.
Yes.
Mitzvah.
You can do tshuva. You can erase the aveira.
Yeah.
But if the first day you ate the matzah that was chametz, so you do tshuva. Will you get the reward of eating matzah? No. That's why you eat shmur matzah. The guy who's dead is wearing kilayim. Okay. Does he get an aveira for doing that? No. Is he jealous? Well, there's nothing to be jealous about. But when you walk in wearing tzitzit, what are you getting?
You can get
You're getting a mitzvah. Can he get mitzvahs? No. Stick your tzitzis in your pocket. That he's jealous about. He's not jealous about the aveira. Because in aveira you can do tshuva. He's jealous because he can't do the mitzvah. Okay? You shecht an animal. You didn't check it. It went to the kosher line, you bought the meat, you ate it. In Shamayim, you find out after 120 years, it was a treif animal. You'll say, I didn't know. What is it? It's an Aveira. You'll say to Hashem, I didn't know. Hashem will forgive you.
So I have a question.
1 second. But if you put tefillin on for 10 years and the tefillin were not kosher, what did you get in Shamayim? How many mitzvahs did you get?
Nothing.
Nothing. That's why you check your tefillin. That means we are so focused, don't do an Aveira. That's not our focus.
Mitzvah.
Our focus should be, how many mitzvahs can we do today? And the mitzvahs we do, they gotta be good. That's why we check our mezuzos. Because it's an Aveira? No. Because what good is a piece of paper on the wall if it's not kosher? What good is putting tefillin on if it's not kosher?
According to what you say, so you can eat the meat, like not check it very well. Is it
We
okay?
don't care. That's not our focus. Our focus is not to stop doing Averos. We don't want to do Averos, but we don't look for Averos. Our focus is, if I'm going to check something, I'm going to check my tefillin, not the meat. That's an Avera. That's a mitzvah.
It's allowed to eat,
It's not allowed,
but it's okay if you.
but it's okay, because I have a
Not
way to
constantly,
fix it.
Not constantly.
I have a way to fix it. I can do teshuvah. We're not talking about intentionally. We're not talking about someone who goes
No,
out
you
and
did
calls
go and
Shabbat.
buy telephone.
Right? We don't go people, we don't buy treif. We don't go buy, we don't do Averot on purpose.
But by mistake,
But,
you do, yeah.
right, but what our focus has to be is doing mitzvahs. That's why we do it. Because if we don't do the mitzvah the right way, how much credit do we get in Shemayim?
Zero.
Zero! We can't fix that. That's the focus. You were gonna say something.
We say before the body sin, the soul never sin. Yeah?
No, we said the soul gets imprinted from the sin. It's affected by the sin.
Yeah.
It becomes
Damage itself.
tum from the sin. The
You know,
tum.
why the soul suffer and not the body?
Body suffering too.
After
The body is
120
just a
years.
tool. The body is a vehicle. The body goes nowhere.
So why the soul is sin if the body is sin? I mean, why the soul suffer if the body is sin?
Because that's how Hashem created the world, that the body serves the soul, and therefore the soul is affected by the actions of the body. And there's a link between the two.
And connection.
Correct. But it's fascinating. It's fascinating to understand the difference between where our focus should be. Our focus should be on the mitzvahs we do. That's what you should focus on. Make sure all your mitzvahs are 100%, because that's where the check mark comes.
So every second we lose, if it's like that.
That's right. Every second we lose. You sit at the Seder table thinking you're fulfilling the mitzvah of achilas matzah, and if the matzah is chometz, you got no rewards, nothing. No check marks. You spent 6 hours at the Seder and you got no check marks. And you can do all the tshuva in the world, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and you still have no check marks. So where should your focus be? Have a good night, everybody. Enjoy your Pesach. Next week I can't be here.
Yeah.